feeling? Hope everyone is fine. I've had a right good break from here. So it's been about 3 weeks since I've been on here. So I'm back. Hope everyone's doing fine. Obviously, Ashley couldn't join us. This due to obviously the time changing and all that crap. Don't get me started, Rob, about time changing. I hate it. We went back on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, and obviously I know Canada and America's going to be following a suit at some point, I think next week. But either way, we've got Rob Lohman. Obviously, he is amazing. But first, please do share this, everybody. Subscribe if you haven't already. And let's have a blast tonight. So the topic tonight is the benefits of and it is a mouthful. Benefits of outpatient programming interventions. So before we crack on with that mouthful of a topic, Rob, which obviously you've come up with, give us a little bit of a background of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, currently I just help people find freedom from addiction. I mean, I look at it as an opportunity to bring the bottom up to people and say, hey, you can stop today or you can keep going down, whatever your choice is. But here's some ways that you can actually get help. And so I do that multiple ways through recovery coaching with people around the world to interventions and mainly in the United States. But just providing resources through podcasting and writing books and just loving on people and helping them find a new freedom.
Brilliant. Yeah, and you know what? I had to really think about this topic, and normally I'm flowing with questions, but I ain't got a clue about this topic. I can be blunt with that. I ain't got a clue. So I've actually asked, and this first time I've actually done it, where I've asked AI to give me some questions. I've asked
Let's
AI,
do it.
So I'm going to challenge you a little bit on this.
All right, let's do it.
I've never done this. First time for me. So, from your experience, what is the primary purpose of outpatient reprogramming interventions for implantable neuromodulation devices like DBS and SNS?
Wow, that's a mouthful right there. Go AI, right? So, well, here's the thing. You know, people are struggling with something. It could be gambling, sex and porn, substances, shopping, gaming, whatever your thing is as your listeners are tuning in, right? So I just ask you to insert your struggle into whatever it is that we're talking about today. But outpatient services is a great option because you know, not everybody can go into like a residential type treatment facility.
Okay.
It's expensive for a lot of people. They can't just unplug and say, okay, I'm going to disappear for 30 days to a year. Good luck, family. But for some people, that's exactly what they need. So we'll focus on the ones that don't have the ability to say, I'm just going to unplug from life for 30, 60, 90, 365 days because I'm a mother, right? And I can't just unplug from my kids, which is a fear a lot of times because if I do, then my husband can't work.
Yeah.
Right. Or if I unplug from my job for 60 days, they're going to can me. And there's a lot of things I do with interventions to help people process this. But let's just say going to residential facility, they just cannot do. And there's a lot of good reasons why. So this is a way people can do outpatient programming where they can still work. You know,
right.
They can still drop the kids off at school at 8 a.m. and they can go to outpatient treatment from, 9 to 12 and then go pick the kids up. And it's like nobody knows mom or dad are in rehab, right? So there's a place and a purpose for it. And it's just tailored to what are the needs of the family and the person.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned about diagnosis, and this brings me to the next question. Which conditions are most commonly managed with outpatient DBS reprogramming? So, like example, like essential tremor, dystonia, or Parkinson's disease?
Well, depending on the facility, if they can handle it or not, it depends on what their staffing is like. If they can handle certain things that are, maybe they have disabilities that they can't like get around, they have mobility issues, or so it really is tailored to the actual individual. But
Right.
and the staffing. I mean, here's what I will tell you. There are treatment centers out there that will say, "Oh yeah, we can handle that." Or like high schizophrenia. Oh yeah, we can handle that. Bring them on in, because they're just trying to get revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just calling around and just asking programs about things, you really got to be careful, individuals, just to make sure the program fits your needs. But yeah, people with, Parkinson's, schizophrenia, um, extreme hypochondria, or they're just a drug addict and an alcoholic or something. There are
I'm an
programs.
alcoholic.
What's that?
I'm an alcoholic. Well, recovering one.
And alcoholic, I'll tell you one thing. The term alcoholic is loosely thrown around. I mean, there are people that go on binges, right?
Yeah.
Once or twice a year, and they just happen to get arrested every time they do that. So maybe they just need some coaching to say, all right, let's figure out what goes on. Like, why do you got to tie one off? Well, it's always around this time of the year when there's a trauma. You mentioned trauma earlier, a trauma that happened, and I just can't cope with it. So we try to give them new coping skills so they don't have to go through that every single time. But again, alcoholic is a term I don't put on anybody. It's more of in some ways, a self-diagnosis of like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. All right, well, now what do you want to do about it? Nothing. Okay. Or I want to do something about it. Well, let's just look at the patterns and try to figure out how to break that cycle in your life, because alcohol, substances, sometimes it's just fun. Yeah. It's just a way to unwind, but you can also unwind by working out, going for a long walk, reading a book. Going to the gym. There's other ways to unwind besides that. But if it's not causing a disruption in your life, there are people that, substances, alcohol, drinking, margaritas, they're around, and there's a lot of normies that can handle it. But we're talking about the ones that can't.
Yeah, well, see, with me and my experience, because that's all I ever do is talk from my experience, is I thought I was drinking for pleasure. And I thought that for years. But I was actually drinking the trauma away, the emotions away, because I was actually programmed to believe bottom of a bottle, bottom of a can or glass was the answer to everything. And I was programmed to believe that for about 2 decades? Yeah. Until I realized that it's not.
Yeah, because the problems and the trauma is still there the next day. It's not ever gained understanding around it. But I hear you, man. It's a common, easy thing to say. Just drink your troubles away. Just have a couple beers. You'll forget about it. You won't feel the pain. And then it's but until you. So this is one way I look at it is. So let's talk about octopuses for a second, okay? Octopuses, these small, these big, these magnificent, creatures. If you cut an octopus's tentacle off, what happens to it?
It regrows.
It grows back, right? So if we cut off certain things by just saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna cut it off by doing this. I'm gonna go buy another TV because I just need to have a better TV, and it's gonna make my old TV. That's what I need because I have an addiction to buying things." Or I'm just gonna place another bet, but I'm not gonna go to the casinos anymore. I'm just gonna buy scratch tickets or do online betting. Well, these tentacles are all still there, right? We cut them off and they grow back. And I'm going back to the trauma thing. But what if we just killed the octopus? All the tentacles die. The octopus is dead. We've addressed the issue. And now we have understanding where it's just not going to come back.
Yeah.
But reality is, it's not like the trauma just goes away. It's just understood. There's new boundaries. There's new, what can we do to go forward to handle the trauma and not re-traumatize ourselves every time the pattern, something comes up. But also, Adam, other people can trigger that trauma response as well, right?
Can.
So with healthy boundaries, we got to put boundaries up to kind of silence those people or let them know, like, hey, you're not getting in here again. You're not getting into this room. Sorry, buddy. I've dealt with you. We're done. And you shut the door on those things with people, places, and things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So let
It's
me ask
all
you
how.
this, Adam.
What's that?
Let me ask this, Adam. Have you been able to gain understanding around what you're talking about with the trauma and things?
Yes.
So what,
I've actually done one better than understanding. I've actually accepted it.
tell us more
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, basically, I've come to realize what happened growing up. I can't change that. That's done. That's been that event's happened, and I have no control over that. But now I'm an adult. I've now got the control over how I respond. And now, after listening to many motivational, inspiring, encouraging speeches, videos, whatever you want to call it, I've now come to realize is you have a choice. You have two choices. Are you going to stick? Are you going to stick with the past, which you and I get this from Anthony Hopkins. Is when he gets asked. I'm not diverse or anything like that, but he gets asked, "Do you have any regrets?" And he goes, "No." And that's me. I have no regrets either. We've made mistakes, but we don't have regrets because if we regrets, we ain't got time for regrets because you'll be living in adversity, and when you've got adversity, you haven't got that self-resilience.
Yeah.
And we need resilience to heal. And that's how I see the trauma.
Amen to that. That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge because you can't, without understanding, we can't go forward. And I would assume that you didn't figure all that out on your own. You had some help along the way, right?
I've had help. Yeah. I've had help. Yeah.
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 And one of them things that's helped me, and you know what, this is actually huge. One of the biggest things that's actually helped me to heal is attempting suicide. It's attempting it. Because that's me experiencing and understanding what rock bottom actually feels like. And there's a lot of things that say to experience rock bottom, you have to be there yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you ain't got a clue.
Right.
You ain't got a clue. Like, it doesn't matter who you listen to, who you talk to, what you read, what you or whatever. The only person that knows you and your mindset and your trauma is you.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been there as well, man. That's how I got sober was through, and I dealt with suicidation and intrusive thoughts was another term someone gave me one time was, it's not about, am I really entertaining suicide? It's just, I'm so down on myself. I've got such a negative image of myself and hatred on myself that these intrusive thoughts just like, they just come in, and then I have a choice to pick it up, look at it and entertain it, or I can just let it fly by because it's just a thought. That's all it is. It has no power until I entertain it.
Exactly. This brings me on to the next question. Describe the step-by-step process for monopoly versus bipolar contacts configuration during DPS outpatient reprogramming.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert on that.
Okay.
In answering that question, yeah, it's not more of a, when we dive into more of the diagnoses and the mental health aspect and stuff. I'd say my expertise is helping put teams together to help people as I discover these conversations when I talk to families and say, all right, let's bring in, person X, person Y, and Z if we need that. But I wouldn't say I'm an expert on kind of like bipolar and those things.
What about this then? How frequently are outpatient reprogramming sessions typically required for SNS patients experiencing loss of sensation?
it can, depending on the severity of it. I mean, it could be, 4 weeks to a year. It just depends on how they're accepting treatment. And because, a lot of people look at mental illnesses, mental diagnoses, while
Yes.
people are using substances as the same thing, right? But for a lot of people, when they're using drugs, alcohol, drinking a lot, using cocaine, speedball and all those things, it can mimic bipolar. It can mimic schizophrenia. It can mimic things like that. So to get the substances out of the way, if people are using both, I mean, we have mental health without substances, right?
Yeah.
And when people have substance abuse, it typically involves mental health.
Oh, we've all
And
got mental health. We all
yeah,
do.
oh yeah. And when we go to like mental diagnoses and things, a lot of families, when they call me for interventions, and that's one of the reasons I wrote the addiction intervention book, was to help people understand the process of first gaining understanding about a loved one, and then trying to step into the right modalities to help the loved one find freedom.
Yeah.
And when I talk to people and they call me, I said, well, tell me more of a history here. Well, I mean, he's been smoking crack for X number of years. He's been drinking a bottle or 2 bottles of vodka a day for X number of years. She's been doing this. And I'll say, well, is there ever a moment of clarity with your loved one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, because they're always inebriated. They're always under the influence. They're always doing something. I said, so we have not had you said a word earlier. You learned how to respond, right, to what was going on in your life. And if you ever heard of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, they talk about this freedom to choose your response. Now, for a lot of us, me included, for sure, there's a stimulus, there's something happening. And I used to not have a buffer. Like my buffer was this close. It was like stimulus, react, stimulus, react. But as time went on, stimulus, wait a minute, let me think about this for a minute. Oh, now I actually have the ability to respond to what's happening in front of me. Right. And that would be what, to your question a second ago, is how long is a treatment for someone? I guess the question would be, one, is the person treating them really qualified and good at what they do?
Yeah.
Or are they just trying to prescribe a year-long program to pay for their Mercedes and their nice house? Which we know there are therapists out there that just keep seeing their client week after week, year after year, and they're not getting better. I'm like, what are you doing for your client? They should be getting better. So that's why it's really important to investigate and know who is treating you and your loved one, and they are qualified. Get those referrals. It's like dating. You have to ask questions to make sure they're the right fit. Because
Yeah.
I've been to some therapists before. I'll give you an example, Adam. I went to a therapist during a tough time in my life, going through, I had an injury. I didn't have this outlet for, like, I don't know, like, how do you exert your energy, Adam? Like, do you like to walk or work out or just talk to people, or what's
I
your
meditate. I meditate.
meditate? Okay. I guess it would be hard to lose the ability to meditate unless you chose to, right? But if you lost the ability to meditate, what would that do to your life, do you think?
Well, I'll be spiritually disconnected from myself.
Okay. So you're disconnected from the thing that brings you peace.
Yes.
Right. So whatever people's connection to peace is, right, when that's disrupted, we're dysregulated. And then it's got to find something else to do, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I got to go do this thing. And I remember I was meeting with this young therapist, and I was struggling with, how do I get my dopamine now, because I don't have this outlet. I can't physically do what I used to do because of an injury. And I was sitting with him, man, and this young guy, he was new to the field. I said, yeah, I just started buying scratch tickets again because it gives me that dopamine rush. And I told him about my former gambling addictions and stuff. And he goes, well, if you're just buying some scratch tickets here and there, and you're feeling better, like when you do it, like, that's not a problem. You should keep doing that. And I'm like, yes, a therapist just told me I can keep doing what I probably shouldn't be doing. And that was a bad therapist for my situation, right? So I fired him and found someone else, and that's not a struggle anymore. But I can seek out an individual to give me permission to do the things I really want to do instead of do the things that are healthier for me and keep me on the right track.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that brings me to, I'm going to dive into your experience here. So I'm coming away from AI for a little bit, but yeah, no. It's good to do things like this. It's good to do things like this, spinning it off a little bit.
Yeah.
So obviously, firstly, when it comes to this, I hate the word. I cannot stand the word advice. I hate it because to me, I believe if you're giving someone advice, you're telling them what to do. And that's why I'm against. I would say it's words of encouragement or suggestions or recommendations, not advice. Because I know there's a difference between the all three. But it's all come from experience. It's doing what works for you. Like, and that's what I do. Because I remember when I had clients years ago, and they were coming to me. And I was just throwing them what worked for me to see if it'll help them. And it turned out it did, which is brilliant. But other than that, yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. But so, and obviously it does say, but I'm probably wrong about this, and I know you're going to call me out on this, but when you put an addiction down, another one's waiting. And you always pick up another one. I certainly have done that. Have you done that?
There are schools of thought around that. And yes, like when I quit drinking and drugging back in 2001, I never stopped doing the other things that were in my life. So I didn't say I picked up another one. I just kept doing ones that I hadn't dealt with.
Yeah.
You know, and there's one phrase that people with addictions say a lot, and I want to squash this for people. Okay.
Go for it.
So, and this happened, we were having a recovery meeting in our church a while ago, and 3 people in a row said, "Man, I have such an addictive personality. I do this." And they all 3 said it in a different story context, right? And I'm sitting there, and literally, I feel like God was saying, "Stop the meeting." I'm like, "Why? It's their meeting. I'm just facilitating it." And that's like the 3rd time or whatever. I'm okay. I'm supposed to just stop the meeting right now. Like, okay, why? I said, "Well, here's what I feel like God just downloaded to me. I'm going to share it with you guys." I was like, if you keep telling yourself, in our meetings, we always say I. So I'm like, so I would say, if I keep telling myself that I have an addictive personality, how am I going to do things in my life? And everyone said almost unanimously, addictively. I'm like, yes. So if I tell myself I have an addictive personality and I put down one addiction, and I just like start drinking coffee all the time because I quit drinking alcohol. And it's like, well, I have an addictive personality. I'm just going to drink coffee. But if we as individuals can figure out what defines us, like through your meditations, Adam, like through that, you probably get insight on what defines Adam.
Yeah.
For me, I get insight on my faith. And it's like, I feel like what God says about me defines who I am.
Yeah.
So if I can live in whatever my truth is, and yours might be different, and your listeners might be different, whatever your truth is on what identifies you, if you live inside of that and in that and let that be your truth, then that should be how you live your life, not living your life addictively because you've told yourself you have an addictive mind.
Yeah. Well, to that, I'm not a religious type. And I know I go to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. I do the meetings every single day. Every day. And you know what? They're working for me. They are working for me. And this is why I'm coming up to, what is it now? 16 months sober.
Nice.
From alcohol.
Cool.
Yeah, it would have been coming up to 2 years, but it's okay. It's okay. It's all right.
You're still here, man.
Minor slip-ups. It happens. But with me, when I pop the alcohol down, like, I'm just going to pick on alcohol a minute. Obviously, I've learned there's two types of alcoholics within ourselves. There's the physical one, which it's easy to pick up a beer. It's easy to put it down. That's the alcoholic solved.
Yeah.
But it's the mental one. That's where the work needs to be done. And with all these idiots, I'm going to call them idiots, saying, let's just go for a drink. Let's do that. Like, I've noticed when it comes to, like, I'm not being sexist or anything like that, but it's what I've experienced in myself. Sure. Is when women are struggling, they'll come together. They'll go shopping together, or they'll go to a spa together, or they'll just meet and have a cup of coffee, and they'll just talk about their struggles. But when it comes to men and they're struggling, they don't show how struggled they are. They just meet in the pub. They always pick the pubs. Wonder why. And it doesn't take 7 or 8 drinks to get that first person. It takes that very first drink, and you're hooked.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Because what I've learned in AA program is the first drink that causes the craving, but then the second drink that comes to the addiction, and it comes the interest, and that's when it starts getting you, and it'll get you until you're either being aggressive, or you're throwing up, or you're passing out. I used to drink till I'm throwing up or passing out. And like the other night, I think it was like 2, maybe 3 nights ago, I was that tired. Like, obviously, I know I don't drink anymore, but I was that tired. I just fell asleep on the bed. Obviously, I had my youngest next to me, so we were both asleep. And my wife tried waking me up, and so obviously she could get into bed, and she couldn't wake me up. She couldn't. So all these memories of me drinking just came flooding back. So it causes doubts. And you know what? I said, I understand. But either way, I reassured her, I ain't drinking anymore. But it just shows how tired I actually am.
Yeah.
But I know I've obviously at one point I put the beer down, but I picked up another addiction, that was food. Because that's what it does, because you're replacing it. And at that point, I wasn't working on myself. And I needed to then find a way to manipulate my mindset in the right way, so then I don't need to pick up an addiction again. I don't need to. I just think the only addiction I should have is working on bettering myself every single day. Yeah. And that's what I plan on doing.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And you're right too. You know, here's one of the interesting things we talk about that, and congratulations too on 16 months. That's awesome. You know, I got sober through AA.
I'm not there yet, but I'll get there.
Yeah.
One day at a time. One day at a time.
Yep. Yeah. And I got sober through AA after I attempted suicide, and just found these rooms of common bonded people. And no matter whether it's AA or Celebrate Recovery or Narcotics Anonymous or whatever, as long as there's that common factor that unites people, and they're working towards getting healing. And the other thing I say too is being really recovery focused instead of fearful of a relapse. There's a big difference in your mindset, you know, because if we're always looking behind like, gosh, if I don't do this, I'm going to drink, instead of, man, when I keep doing these things, I'm that much further away from that drink. Yeah. And it's like I said, it's a mindset. It's a shift in the brain of this, you know, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, that just kind of rewires your brain of going forward is huge. So the great thing is, I mean, I got sober 24 years ago, and there was basically AA. Now there's a lot of branch offs of it and things out there that can help people. Yeah. And so you got to find your tribe.
Oh, I have. I found them. All right. I found them. But yeah, like, I even chair the meetings now. I chair the meetings.
They let you chair them? What is going on over there?
Well, it's online meetings. It's online.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was kidding. It's a beautiful thing, man. And
it is.
And it's the encouraging thing too.
Thanks, Martin.
There you go.
Yeah,
There
recovery
you go.
focus, great point. Absolutely. Yes. We're talking about it, man. We're talking about it.
Well, it's all about community too, because if you write out the word community, the middle letter in that is you. If you get rid of the you, the word is now community. Which isn't a word, right? So if you write out community, get rid of the you. And this is a great example, because we had one guy in our group that he didn't want to come because he had relapsed. And the one thing I want to say is, there's a phrase I do not like, and you tell me how you sit with this. I do not like the phrase when someone comes into like a recovery group or something, they say, hey man, relapse is part of the equation. If you relapse, just come on back. And for a person with addictions that sits in the mind says, oh, it's okay if I relapse, they'll let me come back, which is true, right? It's like, if you slip up, please come back. But to enter into recovery and people say, oh, relapse is just part of the equation, in my mind, it tells me, oh, it's okay if I relapse as long as I come back. But if we can say, hey, man, if you do all these things, you're going to stay on this pathway of recovery. It keeps the recovery mind focused on doing the things for recovery. But yes, if you relapse, come back 100%. Definitely. Yeah. But I just don't like the phrase that relapse is part of recovery, because it's not.
Well, I remember when I relapsed, I beat myself up for a good 48 hours.
Yeah.
I was beating myself up about that. And I know it says in the AA meetings, when you're only 24 hours sober, just sit and listen. Just sit and listen and look for the similarities, not the differences. Obviously, I'm not going to say what meeting that was, because it's totally anonymous, and that's why it's called Alcoholics Anonymous. But the feedback I got was, keep showing up.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people that understand.
Yep.
Get yourself a sponsor, and keep showing up. And just keep showing up. And that's what I'm doing, because end of the day, I did have that where I had a lot of people. Obviously, I don't talk to most of them now, but they said, it's okay, Adam. It's okay. Just calm down. Take a breathe.
Yes.
A relapse does happen to a lot of us, but at the end of the day, you're talking to us about that, and that's your strength. So stop beating yourself up about that and just get yourself into a meeting.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. And 24 that morning after I relapsed, I got myself into a meeting and I actually shared.
Cool. That's awesome.
Shared.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to. And we had a guy, and I'm ready for that too. It's like, we had a guy that was texting us because we have a little text thread through our group. And he said, hey guys, I'm not coming to the meeting tonight because I relapsed. The shame, the guilt, all that stuff piled on top. And we're like, hey brother, it happens, but just come to the meeting tonight. And he wasn't going to come. And it was this whole thing of, sometimes we're just seeking that attention to say, okay, they want me to come back, I'm going to go back. Right.
Yeah.
And he came that night, and it was awesome. And he looked like crap, and he was struggling. Right. And you could tell he was drinking that day, but you are in the right place, man. And he kept coming, and just has come every week since then. But there was that heavy brick that just said the thoughts, right? I'm a loser. They're going to judge me. The enemy's in your brain. But he showed up.
Exactly.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. And the thing is, we're not diverting people. We're not, because we're actually talking about these kind of interventions. And this is the programming interventions we're discussing. So we're actually on topic. But I'm going back to AI now.
That felt so much more authentic, though, Adam. Yes, go for it.
It was. Right. Have you dealt with pregnancy people?
With pregnancy?
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot. Actually, there's quite a bit of programs in Colorado that work with women that are pregnant to get them into homes and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I've got a question.
Me personally, no. But let's hear the question.
Okay. How does pregnancy affect outpatient reprogramming decisions for a woman with a SCS device for failed back surgery syndrome?
Hold on, let me type that answer into AI real quick.
She's like,
I don't know. I haven't dealt. I've not dealt with many people with
okay.
that are pregnant at all. So we'll defer that to people I know that do. So
Oh, here we go. Describe the role of closed loop DBS systems, so example, Medtronic Percept, in reducing the frequency of outpatient reprogramming visits.
I'm loving these questions because I'm like, I got some research to do because I was like, I don't know that one. What did you type into AI for their responses? What was your
I
initial
just
question?
asked, can I have some questions on there on outpatient reprogramming?
That's awesome. Let me tell you what I do know about outpatient work. How about that? Because that
You've
can help.
definitely got things to learn, don't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of those I'm like, I don't know that one. But here's what I do know is that if I'm going to focus on like substance abuse first, because that
Right.
then leads to understanding mental health struggles, right? So
Yes.
there are a lot of different modalities that people can get in an outpatient type program. And an
Right.
outpatient can be loosely done. People can look at it as, well, for me, outpatient is I go to a counselor once a week and I go to some recovery meetings. That's somebody's program and it works as long as I would say treatment is only as effective as the individual being completely honest with their story, right?
Yeah.
And an example of that is I helped a young man get into a rehab program. And his thing, Adam, was when he'd go out and drink, anytime he saw like a 45-year-old man, he would go punch him after he got drunk. Like he hated guys in their mid 40s. And it was like, and he got arrested several times. And it was kind of, he didn't even know the guy. It's like, what is going on here? Well, there's definitely a mental trigger there, right? And
Yeah.
we ended up doing an intervention on him, talked to his family, got him into a rehab center for substance abuse and primary mental health. So he went to an inpatient program. And he never, ever, ever once talked about that issue with his therapist.
Right.
It was everyone else's problem, the why he was the way he was, but he never talked about the times he got arrested. He never talked about why he hated 45-year-old men when he got drunk. And it boiled down to abuse he had from a man when he was a young kid. Right. So all men that were like, in that age range, there was this thing, he just despised them. And what a missed opportunity for this young kid.
Yeah.
He was like in his early 20s to actually work through the trauma to understand, man, they do great therapy there. They do CBT and they do DBT, they do experiential work, they do just deep trauma therapy work. But this young man missed the opportunity. So if someone's listening and they're considering going to an outpatient program or an inpatient program, go in with the openness that says, I am going to be totally open with my life. I want to kill the octopus. I want to kill that thing. So when I come out of there, I don't have to worry about getting suction cupped by this thing and getting strangled again. I am free, man. Like I am free. So whatever people are going into, no matter whether it's substance abuse or diehard mental health or mental illness diagnoses or anything, it's all about the openness and the treatment and the willingness to receive it, but also give it. So
Yeah.
people can and it's not just the individual, it's the family, man. Like if you know
Yeah.
dark family secrets and you come from a very sick and dark past that it was not your choosing, you were just in it, right? If the family doesn't get help and you go to those family reunions and you're this, hey, what's up? I'm 16 months sober. Like, I'm feeling great and all these kind of things. Like, really? And they start dogging you and downing on you. It's like, you know what? This is why I wanted to get sober.
See, the
Type
thing
thing.
is, I never knew I'm 34 years old. Well, young. And
I'm 54 years old, young. Yes, there you go.
something like that. But I actually never knew mental health actually existed until 2008 because of how little it was spoken about.
Sure.
Yeah.
And now it is spoken a lot more.
It is spoken about.
Because of stuff you're doing and people like
Yes.
you are out there doing it.
Exactly. And the thing is, I still remember even today that me and I grew up in a dark childhood where I had a military dad that just loved being violent. He enjoyed it. And then I had an alcoholic mother. And I was stuck in the middle, and they was having domestic violence relationship. I was blamed for domestic violence relationship, all that, which it wasn't my fault anyway. But basically, in 2008, I went to therapy after I had an argument with my mum, and their suggestion was sit down with your mum and you both write down all the pros you've got with each other and all the against, and you work on it. We tried that, and it escalated the situation in a bad way.
Sure.
Because it would.
Yeah.
It would. So I think I've got bad feedback with that.
And that's with the proper coaching and therapy. You can actually do that in a healthy way to work through those things as well. Because it's like if someone struggles with sex and porn addiction, typically related to something that happened as a kid or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things. There's a discovery phase that people go through, and if you do it wrong, it can re-traumatize everybody every single time. It's like, well, yeah, that's right. There was that time when we went to Cabo. That girl too. And that is why having a professional help you can say, hey, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. And here's the proper way so we can get it all out in a healthy manner and we can talk about it. And what do we do now going forward to put boundaries and stuff in? And because I've seen it done both ways, bad ways. And it's like, oh, I feel good about it now, Adam, because I've told you everything about what I did.
Yeah.
Now you just look at the pile of shit, excuse me, right? And it's like,
oh, just say it, man. Just say it.
Express
how you feel.
Yeah, it's like look at the pile, and now you can smell it for a little while, but I feel good. I got it all out.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people try to do. It's like, well, yeah, well, I did this, and here. It's like, no, man, let's get a healthy way to work through this as a couple or a family or whatever the situation is.
And this is why I've now come to terms that if a problem comes to light, okay, fine, there's a problem there. But instead of escalating it into a further problem, work with that individual. Like, obviously, have some separated time, just have a breather, fine, or whatever, do that. And then come together at a later time, whether it's later that night or the next day, whatever, which obviously never go to bed angry. I've learned that. Never go to bed angry. So prefer that night. And I obviously come up with that problem. You've identified it. Then work together on finding a solution.
Yeah.
Meet in
Which
the middle
typically that solution is not going to happen in that first moment of discussion, right? You got to
exactly. I know.
Yeah. Interesting thing too. So I'm 54, and last year my wife and I were going through some collateral stuff from our life, and I was sitting there with this therapist, and in one of our individual sessions, she goes, "Rob, have you ever considered you might have ADHD?" I'm like, well, everything I know about it, check. Yes, I'm pretty sure I have some understanding around that, or I have those kind of like signals, right? So I started diving into it and reading about it and researching and reading books, and I'm getting all this content. I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes complete sense to a lot of stuff in my life that panned out the way it did or didn't pan out the way it did. And so there's this book about ADHD and marriage. So I felt it would be a good idea for my wife and I to read it together, right? That was my idea. But not only that, but as you used AI in prep, like as we were talking about, I went a little step further because again, with my Christian faith, that's really important to me. This book was not a Christian book, but I spent a couple weeks using Chat GPT and saying, let's dissect these chapters. And so I have different personalities, if you will, for when I do research, right? I'm like, hey, I need you to put on your attorney hat, my doctor hat, I've learned how to use it really well. But I spent a couple weeks just saying, from an unbiased standpoint, look at this material from a husband and a wife perspective. And we worked hard on this, and it kicked out this really cool workbook that we can now use in our discussions about it for coaching questions to that spouse with it, without it. And it was really kind of cool because I didn't just take a material and say, hey, let's read this so you understand me better. It was, let's go through this so I can understand myself better and how my actions impacted you. Now I can understand you better on how you perceive me. Yeah. And that's like addiction and mental health altogether. It's like, the things I do, I can easily blame you because you triggered me. It's like, no, I allowed you to trigger me. And so it's just gaining understanding is all I'm saying. And it takes work, man. It ain't easy.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that because I know I've said it several times on here, but I remember a few years ago, I went for group therapy and thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. Because I've always had one-to-one. So I do group therapy. And so I got put on this 6-week program. I think it was with Minds Matter. I ain't got a clue. So I was in this room, and for the first 3 sessions, I wasn't paying attention. I was just looking at the door because I didn't want to be there.
Right.
Suicidal thoughts, craving alcohol. I was doing all of that. And so I went to the doctor and I said, I don't know what to do. He went, what's the problem? I went, I'm doing this group therapy and I'm finding it difficult. I'm struggling. He turned around and went, so why are you doing it then? He's a doctor. A doctor said that.
Wow.
I couldn't come up with a response. I just went, I don't know. So then when I went back home, I said the same. I got a friend message me on Facebook, and he went, "So how did therapy go?" I went, "I found it difficult, and I'm struggling here." He went, "Good." I went, what do you mean good? Well, if you find it easy, then something's not working.
Yeah.
So it took a friend to actually say something that a medical professional was supposed to have said, which tells you what.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he challenged you. Like, so what do you? It's that is the question. Like, what are you doing this for? Like, what's the point? You're just wasting your time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I've fired coaching clients because I'm just like, okay, man, look, we're on like week 4, and every time you've come, you haven't done the work that you said you would do. And again, you said something earlier about advice versus recommendations and suggestions, right? And doing good coaching with people is never giving advice unless they directly ask you, Rob, please give me direct advice right now. I don't know what to do.
Yes.
Outside of that, it's helping them discover it, right? Because the answer is usually kind of within. But I'm like, man, what are you paying me for? I asked him. So, well, because I want to find freedom. I go, well, at this point, our contract is on hold until you're ready to do the work. Well, you can't do that. I'm like, yeah, actually I can, because I want to work with people that want to do the work. And if you're not ready for it, for whatever reason, it's okay. Just call me when you're ready to do the work.
Yeah.
And it's this shock factor. Like, well, you're not going to take any more of my money? I'm like, no, because I want to work with people that want to do the work, because I like to see people get results, not for my gratification, but for theirs. When you see people turn the corner, when you see people go to their 4th meeting and they're like, okay, I'm ready to share. Like, I think I have something to bring. I'm going to share. It's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, that was so valuable. And encouraging people is what I like to do.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I was a serial drinker, and believe it or not, when it came to the alcoholic label, it actually took me 2 months of attending Alcoholics Anonymous to admit that. 2 months.
Yeah. What was that
So,
like for you? What was that like for you in those 2 months when you were going, but
well,
not sure you were there?
obviously for those 2 months, my anxiety was up because all my life I've experienced judgments,
Mm,
laughter, bullying behavior. I, I I was very defensive, and my boundaries were definitely up. And even though I got a few numbers in those first couple of months, I ended up with a sponsor, etc. I let my guard down a little bit, just a little bit, but I did do a few shares. But when I was sharing, I just kept saying, "Hi, I'm Adam. I'm in recovery." That's all I kept saying.
yeah.
But then I thought, no, I'm now a grateful recovering alcoholic.
Mm,
Grateful.
cool. That probably felt good to say.
It was very relieving, and now I smile when I say that. I smile,
I love it. That's good stuff
and
right there.
I never used to smile. You can ask my wife; she
Mm,
never saw me smile throughout our relationship, and we've been together on and off now for almost 17 years.
wow. Wow. What change has she noticed in you, would you say?
Oh, definitely the not drinking. Definitely not drinking because I proposed to her when we was only together 11 months.
Okay.
We got married May this year.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we got married May this year.
Congrats.
So for over a decade, we never got married.
Mm,
And did I blame her for it? Yeah, I did.
mm,
I did. I blamed her and I blamed everybody because I didn't believe they wanted us to be together.
yeah.
And I caused a lot of problems for that. But then I came to terms it was me. I
Mm,
caused the problems, and obviously I did a lot of damage. But then it came down to the fact that I was drinking. But I can't keep blaming the drink for my actions. I can't do
sure.
that. It was me. It was me. It was all me. Because the only person forcing that alcohol down me was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now here's the healthier version of you.
Healthier version.
Boom.
Healthier version.
Awesome.
So on that note, where can people find you for one?
Well, depends on what avenue they are typically on. But if you literally just go to Facebook and type in Rob Lohman, Lohman, you can find me there. Uh, our website, if people, no matter where you live in the world, because this is out on Amazon, they can actually go to freerecoverybook.com and get a free copy of my latest book, the Addiction Intervention book, on how to help yourself and how to help family members as well.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the best ways. I mean, we're actually opening a brand new Christian-based outpatient program here in Littleton, Colorado. So, you're not in Colorado, it's not going to do much good for you. But if you are and you need a place to go get some help and find community, we're going to be there for you.
Exactly. So the last question before we wrap up is if you could have one sentence to say to your younger self who was on everything, alcohol, drugs, you name it, mental health crisis, what feedback would you give them?
You are good enough and you are capable.
There you go. There you go. So on that note, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Rob, for brilliant. I hope you come back at some point. Next week we're back and we're going to be discussing how mental health perspectives changes with intersectionality. So I think that's up your street, isn't it?
I like it. I like it. I'll tune into that one, man.
That's same time next week. Same time next week.
Cool.
So yeah, please do share this, everybody. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, because we are close to that 1,000 subscribe mark. And if anyone's interested in coming on the show, just drop us a line. Obviously, we're everywhere as well. And yeah, keep kicking ass. So see you later.